Hello, everybody. I hope you guys are having a great Saturday. Today, we're going to be looking at a storm system that could be impacting parts of the western U.S. with some rainfall and snowfall in the higher elevations. And this is quite an unusual system. Usually, this only happens a couple times a year. So that's why I'm going to be talking about it because it is quite significant for the areas that are being impacted. And then we're also going to be looking at a system that could be tracking into the northern plains and then also into the Great Lakes and generally this region with some snowfall and some rainfall as well. Now, here's the National Weather Service. We're going to start off here. Sierra Mountains and parts of Nevada, those mountains ranges over there. You could be seeing a winter storm watch from the National Weather Service. A winter storm watch also posted for parts of northern Maine, northern New Hampshire, northern Vermont, and then we have high wind warnings in effect for parts of north central Montana. Except for that, much of the rest of the country pretty bland. Nothing else. Maybe a couple of dense fog advisories over the Panhandle, Florida, but other than that, generally pretty quiet over the U.S. But things are gonna change as this Pacific jet stream does get active, and that's gonna lead to more systems into parts of the U.S. And this could be in the form of rain or snow. Now, starting off with the GFS model, you're gonna see this is your California storm. We'll look at your California storm first. So this is what we're going to talk about later, but first look at your California storm, and it's going to come in. This is right over here where my little marker is, and this is going to be moving in by Wednesday morning. Now for these areas. Now for Wednesday night, it's going to be over parts of generally around the Nevada, Utah area, and then it's going to move into the northern Rockies, still bringing snowfall and rainfall to parts of California, Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, and then into Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho. These areas could be seeing snowfall and rainfall still by Friday morning. Into Saturday morning, you could be seeing some snowfall, and then it turns into a northern plains type of storm system where you're seeing generally some pretty heavy snowfall over the northern plains by Sunday, December 1st in the morning, and then it moves into the northeast by that same day, just during the afternoon, with some rainfall for the coastal northeast, interior northeast, some snowfall along with this, and it turns into a pretty strong low pressure system with some pretty gusty winds associated with it as this model run continues. Now, here's your total snowfall from this GFS model run, and we'll see generally over the west you're seeing generally around 6 inches over the higher elevations, and then some higher elevations seeing around 2 feet to 4 feet of snowfall, indicated by those greens, those darker greens, and those blues and those grays in almost white colors. And then over to the northeast, the interior northeast, generally seeing about 1 to 3 inches. And then once you get into northern upstate New York, northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, northern Maine, you could be seeing around 6 to 12 inches of snowfall. Now, for parts of the northern plains, you could be seeing about a foot to 6 inches to a foot of snowfall from this system. And then we didn't touch on this because I really don't think it's going to develop too much, but over parts of the panhandles of Oklahoma, Texas, and then into New Mexico, potentially 6 inches plus of snowfall according to the GFS. But I really don't think this is going to happen. It's very unlikely that this actually does play out as the GFS is showing. Previous model ones from the GFS are showing the system. I do think the system is going to come one way or another, but I really don't think it's going to show 6 to 12 inches of snowfall. The previous GFS model run showing about 3 to 9 inches of snowfall, and every model run before that tapering off on the amounts a little bit less as you go back a little bit more. So that's why I'm just not ready to say that this is a likely occurrence. Now here's the CMC model, and let's zoom this back a little bit. And this is your California storm right here, up in parts of British Columbia, according to the CMC model, the Canadian model, by Sunday morning, and then into Monday, tracking down the western coast, and then into California by Wednesday morning, and then Thursday night moves transfers into parts of Utah by this point, and then it continues. Now, this is going to turn into a big northern storm, potentially 2 feet of snowfall from the CMC. Again, I don't think this is going to happen. I'm agreeing most with the European model, which is a bit more conservative on these amounts. Now, it's going to track into parts of the northern plains by Sunday morning and then into Sunday night. And then this would be for Sunday or Monday morning, where you could be seeing some snowfall potentially for for the coastal northeast this time. So definitely December 1st, December 2nd, potential for snowfall on the coastal northeast, but I really don't think it's gonna actually pan out. The CMC model is one of very few models that are actually showing snowfall for the for the coastal northeast, I should say. Now here's your snowfall from the CMC model, and you're seeing over the mountains of the west, you're seeing about 4 feet of snowfall in some mountain ranges, especially the Sierra, where you could be pummeled with snowfall for about, I would say, or so days. And then as you get into Colorado, Utah, northern Arizona, those areas could be seeing another 2 feet of snowfall, 1 to 2 feet of snowfall. Denver could even be seeing a foot of snowfall from this. Denver's like right in here, I believe. So yeah, you guys could be seeing about a foot of snowfall as well. So it's not just all high elevation areas. Then for this northern storm that came from this Californian storm, this northern storm, potentially 2 feet of snowfall. This is the same with the GFS model that was showing around 6 to 12 inches. I really don't think this is gonna pan out, and that's why I'm agreeing with the European model the most, which is showing still a lot of snowfall for these areas, but definitely not 2 feet of snowfall widespread. This isn't even isolated. It's very widespread. And then for the interior northeast and the coastal northeast, potentially seeing some snowfall. Again, probably not going to happen. Just want to point it out. And then for the interior northeast, could see about a foot to 2 feet of snowfall over the next about week and a half or so. Now here's the European model. We're going to end it off with this. And here's your Californian storm out of the west. It takes a little bit longer to gather, so by Wednesday morning it's onto California's coast, and then it moves into Utah by this point, and some very heavy snowfall and rainfall continuing through Friday morning and then into Saturday morning and then Sunday. And you see how the European model has less snowfall and lighter amounts over the northern plains. This would be for Sunday morning, Monday morning, and then into Tuesday morning, and that's as far as the model run will go. Now here's the total snowfall. I agree more with the European model. Again, not very little snowfall. A lot of snowfall still for these areas, but it's not 24 inches or 3 feet of snowfall like the CMC, the GFS model was showing. So I'm agreeing most with the European model, which is still not very conservative. It's just the most conservative out of all of these, out of all of these model runs that we've seen. And then for the interior northeast and the coastal northeast, the European is not showing that storm system. So if you're on the coastal northeast, probably don't get your hopes up too much for some snowfall. Potential is there, but probably not gonna happen. And then about 4 to 6 inches of snowfall in those blues, and then about 6 to about 1.5 feet of snowfall anywhere in those purples and pinks. So the parts of northern Maine, northern New Hampshire, northern Vermont, potentially seeing about 6 to 18 inches of snowfall. Anyways, guys, if you did enjoy that, please consider subscribing, leaving a like, and turning on notifications so you never miss an upload when I upload. Anyways, guys, that was Eli the Weather Guy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.